From the Podwires newsroom at joinpodwires.com.
Newscast. It's Tuesday, November 26th. I'm Peter Sherry. Coming up, the death of narrative podcasts? Not so fast. New data completely flips that script. Plus, Latin America's podcast market just hit a milestone most people aren't paying attention to. And your podcast app just got smarter. Whether you'll actually use these features, that's the question. Those stories and more, let's get into it. For months, the industry consensus has been clear. YouTube and video podcasts are killing narrative storytelling. Turns out, completely wrong. A new report released Monday, November 25th from Cumulus Media, Westwood One, and Signal Hill Insights shows narrative podcasts, think Serial or Radiolab, still command 54% of total listening time, even as half of weekly listeners say they prefer watching podcasts with video. Here's why that matters. The entire industry has been pivoting to video-first talk shows, assuming story-driven audio is dead. This data says that assumption is costing creators an audience that's still very much there. Signal Hill Insights president Paul Riismandel told a webinar Monday that even listeners who prefer videos split their time almost evenly between narrative shows and chatcasts. There's still a preference for narrative, Riismandel said. Neither format is dominating, but you see there is that lean towards spending time with narrative podcasts. The kicker? Top charts heavily favor talk shows like Joe Rogan and Call Her Daddy, but Riismandel says that's misleading. Throughout that long tail, there is so much narrative podcasting, and there are so many successful narrative podcasts, he explained. Translation, the charts don't show you where the actual audience is, and right now, they're still listening to stories. Meanwhile, while we obsess over formats, Latin America is quietly building a podcast empire. Latin America's podcast market just crossed into mainstream territory, and news programming is leading the charge. A report released Monday by Triton Digital covering January through August 2025 shows news podcasts represent 35% of total listening across the region, more than double comedy at 14%. Why this matters? For years, podcast growth in Latin America lagged behind North America and Europe. Not anymore. When we look at the data, what really stands out is how mature the LATAM podcast ecosystem has become, Triton VP Oscar Cermeño said Monday. The numbers back that up. 93% of top LATAM podcasts are produced in local languages, with Portuguese shows accounting for 51% and Spanish at 42%. Prisa Radio's La Corneta ranked as the #1 podcast during the period, followed by 2 Brazilian news shows from Grupo Globo. Spotify grabbed 32% of new episode downloads, with Apple Podcasts at 13%. And here's the opportunity everyone's missing. 7% of Latin listening is done in English, a foothold for international creators who've been ignoring the market. What's next? Triton says the region has moved beyond early adoption into a fully developed digital audio economy. For advertisers and publishers sitting on the sidelines, you're already late. Thing number 3, your podcast app just got a brain upgrade. Pocket Casts announced Monday it's rolling out what it's calling a smarter search algorithm. And if it actually works, this could change how people discover shows. The new system, available in version 8.0 of mobile apps and 6.0 of web and desktop apps, now displays both podcasts and episodes together in a single ranked list. The company says the algorithm handles non-English search terms better and includes type-ahead predictive search. Here's the part that might actually matter. You can now play episodes directly from search results without opening the show page first. Small change, but it removes friction. The bigger addition is Smart Playlists, a feature that automatically gathers episodes from your subscribed shows based on rules you set. Think all unplayed episodes from news podcasts or new episodes under 30 minutes. Whether anyone uses it, that's the test. Spotify's had playlist features for years, and most users still just scroll their feed. What's next? The real question is whether this moves the needle on discovery. Podcast apps have been trying to crack search for a decade. If Pocket Casts figured it out, expect Apple and Spotify to copy it by spring. From apps to advertising, thing number 4. Australia's digital advertising market hit $4.6 billion in the September 2025 quarter, up 9.7% year over year, according to data released Monday by IAB Australia. Why it matters for podcasters? Audio advertising grew just 3.5% to reach $82 million, dwarfed by video, which jumped 16.7% to $1.347 billion. That gap tells you everything about where advertisers see the future. Video now represents nearly 73% of total display spending, with social video growing fastest at 29.4% year over year. IAB Australia CEO Guy Leroy pointed out Monday that it has again been a tough quarter for many local publishers, with display revenue down 1.5% year over year. The data also showed connected TV grabbed 62% of video spending, up from previous quarters, while desktop dropped to 24% and mobile edged up slightly to 14%. What this means? If you're a podcast creator banking on audio ad growth to fund your show, the numbers say you're in the slow lane. Video isn't just winning, it's lapping the field. The Europeans podcast just proved something the industry keeps saying is impossible. You can fund serious journalism entirely through listener donations. The award-winning European Politics podcast announced Monday it's releasing a 2-episode mini-series Friday, funded by €15,000 raised from listeners in just 2 months. The series, called Who Does It Best, investigates Europe's most successful housing, childcare, and drug policies. Co-creator Katie Lee told supporters the team envisioned it as, quote, a useful contribution in a time of quite grim politics. Here's what makes this notable. The Europeans has been largely listener-funded since 2017, but this is the first time they crowdfunded a specific project. And it worked. Fast. What's next? If a niche European politics podcast can raise 5 figures in 8 weeks, that's a model other independent shows should be watching. The Patreon era might be evolving into something more ambitious. Tomorrow, we'll be watching whether any major platforms respond to Pocket Cast's search overhaul, and if Latin American podcast growth continues accelerating into year's end. One observation: the industry keeps declaring formats dead. First audio, then narrative, next probably scripted. Maybe we should stop predicting deaths and start watching what audiences actually do. That's your briefing. I'm Peter Sherry. Hit subscribe if this didn't waste your time. See you tomorrow morning.
That's your wrap. Want the inside track on podcasting? Join podwires.com is your next stop. Subscribe to the newsletter for the latest trends and tap into the marketplace to connect with jobs, creators, and brands shaping audio's future. Don't just listen, get involved. Head to joinpodwires.com today.